Daf Yomi, down. Daf Yomi, tractate. Avodah Zarah, page 20. Daf Chof, from the bottom of 19b. We finished the Mishnah and we're starting the Gemara with the words Menohani Mili. How do we know this matter? What matter? That it is prohibited to sell to a Gentile anything that is attached to the ground. Again, disclaimer, I'm just reading the Talmud. It doesn't reflect my own opinion. I'm reading the content. With that being said, again, the Gemara asks, from where is this matter that it is prohibited to sell to a Gentile anything that is attached to the ground derived? Rabbi Yehoshua Hanina says, and now we turn to 20a. Daf Chaf, Amid Aleph, at the top of the page. Ta'amar chol lo yisechonim lo yititin lahem chaniyo bekartam hai lo yisechonim boile de'harikam al-chmona lo yititin lahem chen. The source is that the verse states, you should not show them mercy. Deuteronomy 7:2, which is understood as meaning you should not give them a chance to encamp. It's interesting, play on words, that chen is like chaniya, the camping. Chaniya. In modern Hebrew, they say chaniya is like parking. To acquire land in Eretz Israel, don't let them camp. It's talking about the Canaanites, the time of Israel's conquest of the land. The Gemara asks this phrase, you should not show them mercy. Isn't it necessary to teach that this is what the merciful one is saying? You should not give them favor by praising them. Maybe it can mean both. Im kein lemakra lo yisechonim, lo techunim, mai lo stichanim, shma mina talti. The Gemara answers, if that were so, let the verse say lo techunim, with the letter Vav, as then it would be evident that this is a form of the root Chet Vav Nun, which means favor. What is the reason that the verse instead states Lo Techonim without the letter Vav? Conclude two conclusions from it. That one may not praise them, and also that one may not allow them to acquire land. Ze'akati mivoile tehachya rachmana lo titin lahem matna shel chinam im kein lemakcha lo techinem mai lo tichanim shma mina kulehu. The Gemara asks, but still, isn't the phrase you should not show the mercy necessary to teach the halakha that this is what the merciful one states? You should not give them an undeserved gift. The Gemara answers, if that were so, let the verse say, Lo techinim. Techinim. What is the reason that is spelled without the letter Yud as Lo techonim? Learn from it all these three halachot. Tanya namihachi, Lo tichanim, Lo titen lahem chaniya bekarta, davar acher Lo tichanim, Lo titen lahem chen. דבר אחר, לא תיחנם, לא תיתן להם מתנת חינם. This is also taught in the Braita. You should not show them mercy. This teaches that you should not give them a chance to encamp in the land of Eretz Israel. Another matter, you should not show them mercy. This indicates that you should not give them favor. Another matter, you should not show them mercy. This teaches that you should not give them an undeserved gift. ומעט נתחיל מגובה תנאי נתניה לא תאכלו כל נבלה לגר אשר בשעריך תתננה ואכלה או מחול לנחרי אין לי אלא לגר בנתינה ולגוי במחירה לגר במחיר הביניים תעמד לא אומר תתננה או מחול. The Gemara notes, and this issue of an undeserved gift to a Gentile is itself a dispute between Tanaim, as it is taught in a Braita. You shall not eat any unslaughtered animal carcass you may give it to the resident alien who is within your gates. He may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner. For you are a sacred people to the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 14:21. I have derived only that it is permitted to a resident alien through giving, and to a Gentile through selling. From where do I derive that it is permitted to transfer an unslaughtered animal to a resident alien through selling? The verse states, you may give it, or you may sell it, meaning that one has the option to do either of these. Legoy benetina minayin, Talmud lo mal, titinena v'achlo mechol enachli, nimsa tamel, echad ger echad goy, benetina b'mechira, divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Amer, Divarim kichsovon lager benetina v'goy b'mechiro. The writer continues, from where is it derived that it is permitted to a Gentile through giving, and one is not required to sell it to him? The verse states, you may give it, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner. Therefore, you may say that he may transfer it to both a resident alien and a Gentile, both through giving and through selling. This is the statement of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, these matters are to be understood as they are written. One may transfer an unslaughtered animal carcass to a resident alien only through giving, and to a Gentile only through selling, as it is prohibited to give an undeserved gift to a Gentile. The Gemara comments, Rabbi Meir is saying, well, as the verse indicates, that either method is acceptable. The Gemara explains, and Rabbi Yehuda could have said this to you, if it enters your mind to understand the verse in accordance with that which Rabbi Meir says, let the merciful one write, you may give it to the resident alien who is within your gates, that he may eat it, and also you may sell it to a foreigner. Why do I need the word or? Between these two options, learn from it that it comes to teach that the matters are to be understood as they are written. Rabbi Meir Avodah ben Sina the Ger Mechinagoy, Rabbi Yehuda came and the Ger Atam Tzavach Yoisoi, the Ger Tzavach Yoisoi, the Agdim Loitzach. The Gemara asks, and how does Rabbi Meir explain the wording of the verse? The Gemara answers that word or teaches that one should give precedence to giving to a resident alien over selling to a Gentile. Rabbi Yehuda holds that since you are commanded to sustain a resident alien, as it is stated, he shall live with you, Leviticus 25:55, and you are not commanded to sustain a Gentile, as there is no need for a verse to teach that one should give precedence to a resident alien. Another explanation, another matter, you should not show them favor. This teaches that you should not give them favor by praising them. The Gemara notes that this supports the opinion of Rav. As Rav says, it is prohibited for a person to say, how beautiful is this Gentile woman. Amar Baru Masech Hashem. Yaf Rabbi Akiva Ra'a Eshet Tornus Rufus Rasha Rak Sachak Ubacha Rak Shaita Ba'amiti Basrucha Sachek Teatida de Bigaira Pirasivla Bacha Tahai Shufra Vede Afra. The Gemara raises an objection from a Braita. There was an incident. Excuse me 1 second, I have to put this on pause while I plug in the computer. Okay, where were we? Yeah, the Gemara raises an objection from a Braita. There was an incident involving Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel who was on a step on the Temple Mount, Harabais. He saw a certain Gentile woman who was exceptionally beautiful and said, how great are your works, O Lord? Psalms 104:24. And Rabbi Akiva too, when he saw the wife of the wicked Turnus Rufus, he spat, laughed, and cried. He spat as she was created from a putrid drop. He laughed as he foresaw. Aren't we all created from a putrid drop? I mean, that's what Pirkei Avos says anyway. He laughed as he foresaw that she was destined to convert and he would marry her. He cried as this beauty would ultimately be consumed by dirt. Derav, Odioe, Hu, Dakamode, Diomar Marare, Rios Toivois, Omar, Baruch Shekachabara Veodamoy. And how would Rav explain the incident involving Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who praised the beauty of a Gentile? More answers. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel was giving thanks to God for creating such beautiful people rather than praising the Gentile herself. As the Master said, one who sees a beautiful, otherwise outstanding creature recites, "Blessed be he who has created such in his world." Une istakole mishari meispe minishmarta mikol lara shlo istakel adam bishana afilu penuya be'eshet ish afilu mechoeres. But is it permitted to gaze upon a woman? The Gemara raises an objection. The verse states, "And you shall keep yourself from every evil thing." Deuteronomy 23:10. This teaches that a person should not gaze upon a beautiful woman, even if she is unmarried, and a person should not gaze upon a married woman, even if she is less than. I mean, they use the word ugly here, but whatever. She's not so pretty. Okay, next. Daf, we're turning to 20b now. A person should not gaze upon the colored garments of a woman, and a person should not gaze at a male donkey, at a female donkey, at a pig, at a sow, or at a fowl when they are mating. And even if one were full of eyes like the angel of death and saw from every direction, it is not permitted to look. Interesting choice of words there. Amru Allah, Malach HaMavis, Shikulo Malainaim, Bishas Petiras, Shilchoiloim, Be'al Rashoisav, Bial Berashotav, Vicharfo, Shlufo Biado, Shlufa Betipa, Shilmarat Luyabo, Kevin Shechol Roya, אותו מזדעזע ופותח פיו וזרקו לתוך פיו ממנה מת, ממנה מסריח, ממנה פניו מוריקות. They said about the angel of death that he is entirely full of eyes. When a sick person is about to die, the angel pulled the strings. Puppy dog days. It reminds me of the they said about the angel of death, he is entirely full of eyes. Beware of the big green dragon who sits on your doorstep. He eats little boys, puppy dog tails, snails and big green snails. Beware! Take care. Beware! That's from Ed Wood, Bela Lugosi. That reminded me of that thing there, the angel of death. He said about the angel of death that he's entirely full of eyes. When a sick person is about to die, the angel of death stands above his head with his sword drawn in his hand and a drop of poison hanging at the edge of his sword. Once the sick person sees me, trembles, and thereby opens his mouth, and the angel of death throws a drop of poison into his mouth. From this drop of poison, the sick person dies. From it, he putrefies, and from it, his face becomes green. The Gemara answers, Rabban Gamliel did not intentionally look at the woman. Rather, he was walking around the corner and he saw her unexpectedly as they each turned. With regard to the statement in the bride sound, nor may one gaze at the colored garments of a woman. Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says, this is the halacha, even if they are spread on a wall. Not only when they are being worn, Rav Papa says, and the prohibition applies only when one knows their owner. Rava said the language of the Braita is also precise, as it teaches, nor may one gaze at the colored garments of a woman, and it does not teach, nor may one gaze at the colored garments. Learn from it that the prohibition applies only to the garments of one he knows. Amar Rav Chizda, hanimili be'atike, awol v'chadite leit lanba, di la temachi anan mena, liashporechi abinan, haka mistakel. Rav Chizda said, that statement applies only in the case of old garments, meaning garments that have been worn. But in the case of new garments, we have no problem with it. The reason is that if you do not say so, how can we give a woman's garment before it is worn to a launderer? Meaning, one who prepares new garments for use, knowing that the launderer must look at the garments. הדבר מין במינו מותר להכניס במחול בשופרס כמסתכל אלא בעבידתה תרית הכינמי בעבידתה תרית. The Gemara refutes this proof, but according to your reasoning, your assumption that a launderer is no different from all other men, there is a similar difficulty with that which Rabbi Yehuda says. If one wishes to mate an animal of one species with an animal of its own species, it is permitted to insert the male organ into the female like a brush into a tube. One could ask here as well, but isn't he looking at the animals as they mate? Rather, he is occupied with his work, and therefore his mind will not entertain sinful thoughts. So too, with regard to a launderer, he is occupied with his work, and therefore a launderer differs from other men. Okay. Amar Mar Mimena Mes Nema Pliga de Avodah Shmuel de Amar Avodah Shmuel Amar Li Marhamavis Ilo di Chayshina Dikra di Briata Hale Purana Be Hashvita Kevahima Dil Mahiti Ba Michatcha Lehu Lisimanim. The Master said above in the Braita, from this drop of poison on the angel of death's sword, the sick person dies. The Gemara asks, shall we say that this opinion disagrees with a statement of Shmuel's father? As Shmuel's father says, the angel of death said to me, were I not concerned for human dignity, I would uncover the place of the incision of the slaughter as one does to an animal that is slaughtered. This indicates that the angel of death kills by slaughtering his victims with his sword, not by poisoning them. The Gemara answers, perhaps that drop of poison cuts the two organs that must be severed in ritual slaughter, meaning the trachea and the esophagus, and thereby slaughters the people. The Gemara notes that the continuation of Braita, which states that from this drop of poison a corpse putrefies, supports the opinion of Rabbi Chanina bar Kahana, as Rabbi Chanina bar Kahana says, that they say in the school of Rav, one who wishes that his dead relative will not putrefy should turn it on its face immediately as the drop of poison enters through the mouth, and this causes the putrefaction of the corpse. Tanu Rabbanan v'nishmar b'chol le'olam shelo ya'alech adam b'yom v'yavo li'dei tumah b'layla. The Gemara cites another source that interprets the verse cited above. The sages taught a right to explain the verse, and you shall keep yourself from every evil thing, Deuteronomy 23:10, which is immediately followed by the verse, if there be among you any man who is not ritually pure by reason of that which happened to him at night, Deuteronomy 23:11. This teaches that a person should not think impure thoughts by day, and thereby come to the impurity of an emission by night. Mikan Amrei Pinchas ben Yoel Toira מביא על ידי זהירוס, זהירוס מביא על ידי זריזוס, זריזוס מביא על ידי נקיוס, נקיוס מביא על ידי פרישוס, פרישוס מביא על ידי טהרה, טהרה מביא על ידי חסידוס, חסידוס מביא על ידי ענווה, ענווה מביא על ידי יראת חטא, יראת חטא מביא על ידי קדושה, קדושה מביא על ידי רוח הקודש, רוח הקודש מביא על ידי תחיית המתים. וחסידוס גדול וכולן שנאמר, אז תיבדל וחזור לחסידך. From here, Pinchas ben Yair would say, Torah study leads to care in the performance of mitzvot. Care in the performance of mitzvot leads to diligence in observance. Diligence leads to cleanliness of the soul. Cleanliness of the soul leads to abstention from all evil. Abstention from evil leads to purity and the elimination of all base desires. Purity leads to piety. Piety leads to humility. Humility leads to fear of sin. Fear of sin leads to holiness. Holiness leads to the divine spirit. The divine spirit leads to the resurrection of the dead. And piety is greater than all of them, as it is stated, then you did speak in a vision to your pious ones. Psalms 89:20. ובלגי דרשו בלוי דמר רשו בלוי ענה וגדל לכולן שנאמר רוח אדוני אלוהים עלי יען משך אדוני אותי תבשר ענבים חסידים לא נאמר אלא ערבים אבל למדת שענבה גדול לכולן. And this statement disagrees with the opinion of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. As Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, humility is greater than all of them, as it is stated, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good tidings to the humble. Isaiah 61, verse 1. Since the pious is not stated, but rather the humble, you learn that humility is greater than all of them. Ein moichel lahen kule tana rabanan moichel lahen ilana benaslik tois koises tivrei Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Meir Omer ein moichel lahen velam kutzutza shachas al menas ligazos ligozes tivrei Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Meir Omer ein moichel lahen ela gazuza kama benaslik tzav kotzel tivrei Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Meir Omer ein moichel lahen ela gazuza. The Mishnah teaches that one may not sell to a Gentile any item that is attached to the ground. The sage taught one may sell to them a tree on the condition that he cut it down, and the buyer cuts it down. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says one may sell to them only a tree that has actually been cut down. Similarly, one may sell to them fodder, meaning produce that has grown stalks, but it's not yet ripe, on the condition to cut it down, and he cuts it down. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says one may sell to them only fodder that has been cut down. So 2, one may sell to them standing grain on the condition to harvest it, and he harvests it. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says one may sell to them only harvested grain. Otzrecha dishmenin ilan beha kamar Meir kivan the pasid mashahile aval hai dechi mashahile pasid emamodile Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara comments, and it is necessary to say the halacha in each of these different scenarios. As had the Brayta taught us the dispute only with regard to a tree, I might have said that it is only in that case that Rabbi Meir says it must be cut down before being sold. The reason is that since the Gentiles did not lose out by keeping the tree vital, what are we holding here? V'iyashmin bahani takti mishum delo yadi shebechayu aval shachas didia shebechayu ema moedi le Rabbi Meir. Where were we? Let's start from Utsricha. I probably said that already, but Utsricha. Iash minan ilan beha kamar Rabbi Meir kivan delo pasid meshihile aval hai lechi meshihile pasid ema modi le Rabbi Yehuda. Wow. The Gemara comments, and it is necessary to state the halacha in each of these different scenarios, as had the Braita taught us the dispute. Only with regard to a tree, I might have said that it is only in that case that Rabbi Meir says that it must be cut down before being sold. The reason is that since the Gentile does not lose out by keeping the tree in the soil, he might keep it in the ground. But in this case of standing grain, since if he keeps it in the ground, he will lose out, one might say that Rabbi Meir concedes to Rabbi Yehuda. Sorry about that. That it may be sold before being harvested, on the condition that the Gentile will harvest it, because the Gentile would not leave the grain in the soil to spoil. Okay? And had the Braita taught us only these two halachot, one might have said, Rabbi Yehuda permits selling these items on the condition that they be cut down because the improvement to the tree or grain is not recognizable when it is left in the ground. But in the case of fodder, whose improvement is recognizable, as it would continue to grow and ripen if left in the ground, one might say that Rabbi Yehuda concedes, Rabbi Meir, that we are concerned that the Gentile will not cut down the fodder, and therefore one may sell it only once it has been cut down. And furthermore, had the Braita taught us only the dispute in the case of fodder, one might have said that it is merely in this case that Rabbi Meir says it must be cut down before being sold, but with regard to those cases of the tree or standing grain, one might say that he concedes to Yehuda that one may sell these items before they are harvested, on the condition that the Gentile will harvest them, as there is no recognizable improvement to them if they are left in the ground. Consequently, it is necessary for the dispute to be stated in all three cases. A dilemma was raised before the sages with regard to the sale of large livestock, which is forbidden due to the concern that the Gentile might use them to perform labor, see 14b. If such livestock are sold on the condition that the Gentile will slaughter them, the Gemara explains the aspects of the dilemma, the aspects of the duty dilemma. There in the Mishnah, what is the reason that Rabbi Yehuda permits the sale of a tree on the condition that the Gentile will cut it down? Is the reason that the trees are not in the Gentile's domain, and therefore he is not able to keep them, as the Jew will force him to cut them down. But in the case of large livestock, since the animal stands in the domain of the Gentile once it is sold, there is concern that he might keep it and not slaughter it, or perhaps there is no difference between the cases. Rabbi Yehuda would permit one to sell even large livestock to a Gentile on the condition that he will slaughter the animals. Tashima detanya behema v'nat shchoit v'shoichet v'derei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir Omer ein machan lo el b'shchuto. The Gemara suggests a resolution. Come in here, as it is taught in the Braita. One may sell large livestock to a Gentile on the condition that he slaughter it, and he slaughters it. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says one may sell a Gentile only a slaughtered animal. And that's the end of that. And we started the Mishnah at the very last line of the Amud, which is Ein maskirin lahem batim be'eretz Yisrael Ein tzarich loim al sadris v'Syria. One may not rent a house to a Gentile in Eretz Yisrael, and needless to say, one may not rent fields to them, as explained in the Gemara. And in Syria,